shocking, coming up next on True Crime Network.
Tonight on Most Shocking.
Go, go, go!
An explosive standoff in the street leaves a would-be bomber in the jaws of justice. And an angry confrontation in a casino erupts into a deadly free-for-all. Then, cold-blooded crooks invade a convenience store, turning their weapons on everyone inside. Plus,
all right, they're running.
A late-night hunt for some burglars
Hop to the fence.
becomes a wild foot chase through neighborhood streets.
And we're still running.
Later, a steamy adult bookstore is turned into a fiery death trap. This is not a movie. Everything you're about to see is real. Brace yourself. This is Most Shocking. Criminals out of control.
Nashville, Tennessee. Two robbers in ski masks invade a convenience store, armed with a revolver and shotgun. At the counter, Lee Rayburn is making a purchase. He freezes in fear.
There was no place to run. There was no back door. I knew we were in trouble.
Everyone is ordered to hit the floor.
Thoughts going through my mind is if I laid down, face down like they asked, that everything would be okay as long as I didn't see them or look at them. I heard them say they wanted the money out of the drawer, and Sam, who was the clerk behind the counter, had said he didn't speak English.
The gunman offers a brutal response and fires at point-blank range. The thieves rush the register, but can't get it open. They fly into a rage.
They set them off, and they just started shooting, and they wanted everyone dead in that store.
The first perp goes after another clerk on the floor, while the second targets Lee.
They shot me in my lower back, and it hit my kidney, hit my colon.
The next shot is aimed at Lee's head, but the shooter runs out of bullets.
When it went click, it was like, then I got a burst of energy. That's when I reached in my top pocket and pulled out my phone and called 911.
The murderous thugs flee without stealing a dime. But cops find a telltale fingerprint at the scene. They trace it to Joshua Brown, who's now under arrest for the murder of the two clerks. Incredibly, his accomplice, who shot Lee, was a teenage girl. Lee Rayburn endures weeks of surgery, but he makes a full recovery from his night of terror.
I do feel lucky. I feel very fortunate to still be here on this earth.
Phoenix, Arizona. A troubled man, Jorge Romero, holds a downtown street hostage, claiming to have a bomb under his jacket. After an hour-long standoff, the SWAT team calls in Officer Mary Zielinski and her canine, Levi.
With someone that's mentally ill or on drugs stating they have an explosive device, you have to take that seriously.
Suddenly, the SWAT team peppers Romero with rubber bullets, then distracts him with flashbang grenades. Now it's Levi's chance to take on the bomber. But the dog also ends up in the line of fire.
One of the rubber bullets actually deflected either off the suspect or off the ground and actually hit him on the side.
But that doesn't deter this four-legged enforcer.
He was able to refocus quickly and go in and bite the suspect and hold on.
Levi locks onto the suspect's arm, preventing him from reaching for a weapon. But Romero was bluffing.
He didn't have any device strapped to him.
Their job done, Officer Zielinski calls off her canine partner. Romero may not have had a bomb, but his antics did land him in jail on charges of disorderly conduct. In situations where it's unsafe for officers to go in, canines like Levi are a cop's best friend. At a popular desert casino, an argument among young people spills out of the bar. Two of the men jaw at each other. Suddenly a third throws a sucker punch and ignites a firestorm. Terrified patrons flee as shots ricochet through the casino, while the shooter prances across the floor, reveling in the violence. The exchange goes down in seconds, while the man in the white shirt attacks. The gunman reaches for his weapon. A rival spots it and flings his drink at the suspect, but then has to run for his life. One of the instigators ducks around a corner to avoid the bullets, but the assassin comes gunning for him. The target dodges the strike and escapes the scene moments later. But not everyone is so lucky. One man from the group is killed in the melee, and a woman at the slots is hit in the hand. Although the investigation traces the killer back to a gang in Los Angeles, he remains at large. Authorities hope he's caught soon, because anyone this willing to commit murder will surely try their luck again.
Coming up, a knife-wielding fugitive is shocked into submission. Then, a gun-toting outlaw forces a showdown with a cop. Plus, a moral missionary converts a pawn shop into an inferno. That's straight ahead on Most Shocking Criminals Out of Control.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Gerald Schwartz, the evening clerk at this vitamin store, is 77 years old. He's about to experience the worst night of his long life. A young man walks in. The intruder plays the role of a legitimate customer, a common ploy according to Officer Mike Joyner.
The suspect asked for a specific product, and Mr. Schwartz accommodated the request and showed specifically where this product could be found.
But it's a trap.
When he sucker punched me, he hit me at the base of my skull from behind, full force.
The frail old man poses no threat to his brawny attacker. But in a back room, the assault continues.
This is a very savage beating. The perpetrator did produce a folding knife.
He said he was going to kill me. And I looked at this 3.5-inch blade on this knife. And I thought to myself, that'd be a heck of a way to go down.
The attacker opens a cut above the clerk's eye. Gerald is dragged through a pool of his own blood. The punishment finally ends. The thug turns his attention to the cash register. But he gets a surprise. It's locked. He storms back toward his victim. Gerald again finds himself cornered by the robber.
He instructs Mr. Schwartz that he needs assistance in opening the cash drawer.
The crook gets the cash, but the confrontation continues.
Sit on the floor. Sit on the floor. Listen to me. My eye hurts. Sit on the floor. There's something else gonna hurt right now. Sit down here. Better not move. I mean that.
Gerald is left cut, bruised, and dazed, but still alive.
I thought for his age, against a man that was obviously younger, Mr. Schwartz did a fantastic job to defend himself.
Evelyn, Minnesota. A state trooper has just spotted the car of a known fugitive with outstanding warrants. He approaches the vehicle, but the defiant suspect refuses to come out. The officer raises his flashlight and threatens to bash in the window. But when he makes good on his promise, he's met by a gun barrel. Just as the deputy smashes the glass, the driver pulls out a .32 caliber revolver. The patrolman fires. His quick thinking saves his life. 6 of his 7 rounds find their mark. The last one proved fatal. It's a situation every cop hopes to avoid. But when this outlaw pulled his weapon, he forced the trooper to end the threat for good. Miami, Florida. Just after 3 a.m., a man calmly walks into an adult video store. He pays for access to a private viewing room in the back. But he's not here for jollies. He's scoping out the store for a sinister act. He heads back to the counter and delivers a menacing message.
He told the store clerk that he had a guilty conscience and he was going to set the store on fire.
Before the cashier can stop him, the crazed loner makes good on his promise.
The subject pulled a bottle of what appears to be gasoline from under his shirt, and he squirt one of the viewing rooms and set it on fire.
The flames spread quickly. A death trap for patrons.
The only available exit was blocked by the flames.
Terrified customers have to leap through the blaze to escape. The madman also ignites the front counter, sending everyone fleeing into the street. The arsonist casually walks down the sidewalk and disappears.
He was very casual about it. He was calm, and after he completed this, he just walked out of the store.
The clerk runs after him, but it's too late. He gets away. The store suffers extensive damage, but thankfully no one is injured.
It's amazing that no one lost their lives in this incident.
He came to this adult store with a burning desire. Now, police are ready to put the heat on him.
A person like this is extremely dangerous. That's why we need the public's cooperation in apprehending this individual.
Kansas City, Kansas. Police have a new weapon at their disposal. Tasers with mounted cameras that can see in the dark. Armed with these high-tech devices, deputies Thomas Stark and Sean Bittakofer enter the home of a wanted mental patient who's locked in his bathroom.
We believe that he was either going to try to hurt himself or us in the process. We decided that we were going to have to enter the bathroom by whatever means we could find.
But when they pop the lock, they find themselves face to face with an 18-inch sword. The officers aim their laser sights at the defiant suspect's chest.
He definitely didn't want to go with us. He didn't want to go back to the hospital. So we didn't know what he would do to us.
This warning will be his last. Both officers discharge their tasers. The 100,000-volt hit knocks the man off his feet.
He started to come back up towards us with the look like he's going to do harm to somebody. And at that point, you do what you can to subdue the individual.
It takes 2 more rounds to rein in the troubled man. The confrontation could have turned deadly, but thanks to the deputies, the patient will get the help he needs.
We would have had to use much more deadly force on the individual, simply for the fact that he would have either tried to hurt himself or us. The successful resolution of this incident was based primarily on the fact that we had the tasers.
Still to come, police track down a crazed shooter who's on a random citywide rampage. Plus, a ruthless attacker hits a mini-mart and cleans the store out of its cash. Then, gunmen invade a dog breeder's home and pack up a prize of purebred pups. That's next on Most Shocking. Criminals Out of Control.
Ankara, Turkey. Somewhere in this maze of narrow streets, an elusive gunman, high on crack, goes on a random shooting spree. Police try to catch up to the echoing shots, but the wandering trigger man stays one step ahead. Officers spread out through the cobblestone streets, knowing that every blast of the gun could mean a life lost. Suddenly, they spot the crazed rampager down a steep flight of stairs. He sees them coming and ducks into a darkened alleyway. Officers close off the area and position themselves on both sides of the alley entrance. One pleads with the shooter to give himself up. Finally, he emerges, hands raised in surrender. The babbling man is dragged to a police van and booked at the local jail. Several blocks away, cops make a grim discovery. A resident was gravely wounded by one of the suspect's stray bullets. When he comes down from his high, the city marauder will have to answer for a murder he can't even remember. Jackson, Mississippi. An early morning rush at an all-night gas station leaves the cashier busy and distracted. He never sees it coming. A hooded man walks right up to the counter and fires.
This is probably the coldest and most callous assault on human life that I've ever seen. He doesn't say anything. No remorse, no demands. He just fires a shot.
The bullet rips into the cashier's face. A second one tears into his arm. And things turn even more brutal. The gunman finds another clerk hiding behind the counter and shoots him in the head.
That says that he has the heart of a cold-blooded killer. This is an individual who could be conceived as being very dangerous to society.
The store falls silent. Then, unbelievably, a patron starts looting the register. An act that leaves investigators guessing.
We're trying to determine if these individuals were together or if this individual just merely saw this as a crime of opportunity.
The shooter runs back to the register and cleans it out. The two suspects quickly leave the store. Wounded and bleeding, the first clerk emerges from the back. And this time, he's armed. He fires at the fleeing gunman. But his attacker gets away. Both clerks survived the horrific shooting. A fact that Detective Scott finds amazing.
The attacker had no intentions on leaving a living witness. That's just my opinion, based on the heinousness of his actions. Our guys are working around the clock to get some justice for the store clerks.
Los Angeles, California. This family of dog breeders enjoys a lucrative trade. These terrier pups fetch $2,500 apiece. And that's why they've installed surveillance cameras. Two men arrive posing as potential buyers. But they're really a duo of dog nappers looking for an easy score. The thieves storm in and order everyone to the ground. One holds a gun on the family as the other goes after the prize pooches. But the puppies are not so easy to catch. The canine crooks finally bag 4 terriers. A $10,000 haul. But thanks to the security tape, the men are captured. Stealing high-priced pups may seem like an absurd crime, but it leaves these robbers facing the very real charge of grand theft dog.
Up next, a homicidal gunman goes berserk in an electronics store. And a jewelry stand is besieged by a smash-and-grab hooligan. Later,
All right, they're running.
a canine flushes 2 thieves from their late-night lair.
And we got to take down at least one.
Then pursues them tooth and claw.
Yeah. This is awesome.
When most shocking, Criminals Out of Control returns.
Kingston, New York. On weekends, Hudson Valley Mall draws crowds of more than 2,000 people. Today, many will be in the gun sights of a disturbed man named Robert Bonelli Jr. Without warning, Bonelli enters the mall and opens fire.
He took an AK-47 type of semi-automatic rifle out of his vehicle and began firing indiscriminately through the entrance. People were screaming. People were fleeing for cover, diving behind display cases, diving behind television sets.
Bonelli empties his clip and quickly loads another. Panicked shoppers cower in fear. Finally, after several heart-stopping minutes, Bonelli calmly surrenders to police. Remarkably, no one loses their life in the shooting spree. A search of his car turns up the bizarre ramblings of a homicidal maniac.
Most disturbing was one note repeatedly written that the lonely man strikes with absolute rage.
Bonelli won't be lonely anymore. He'll have the company of his cellmates for the next 32 years. Ubon Ratchathani, Thailand. At a local jewelry shop, a teenager loiters on the front step. He waits until the coast is clear. Then he goes on a gold rush. The smash and grab lasts only 7 seconds. A wooden crate breaks open the case. The crook snatches 10 gold rings as clerks fight him off. One belting him with her purse. A good Samaritan throws a bike tire, but the thief still makes his escape. A clerk quickly calls police. Officers arrive to find the store in shambles. But this was no professional job. It turns out the robber is a homeless 19-year-old. He's caught the very next day across the street with all 10 rings still on him. Hopefully the boy's criminal impulses will get broken before they become a habit. Detroit, Michigan. Chuck Stubing loves making a living at his late-night hamburger stand. But owning such an establishment has its risks.
We have had break-ins prior. That's why we've installed a top-notch security system.
Tonight, his cameras will catch a much more heinous crime. A Jeep pulls into a parking space. From across the lot, 2 men approach. One stops and confronts the driver.
All of a sudden, we saw a little scuffle out in the parking lot. 2 gentlemen were arguing. One pulled out a gun.
The attack happens in full view of the restaurant's windows. And the brazenness isn't over.
The suspect jumped into the victim's Jeep and pulled out and took off immediately.
As authorities are called, 3 employees hurry to the wounded man, who's been hit in the abdomen and leg.
The victim was laying on the ground behind the restaurant in our parking lot. He was still moaning, a lot of blood.
Medics arrive within minutes. The man is rushed to a local trauma center. No one knows if these combatants knew each other before tonight, or if this was just a terrible one-time encounter. Either way, Chuck would like to see his security measures help police catch the shooter.
Hopefully our video will pinpoint who it was and we can bring him to justice.
Just ahead.
I think he's supposed to be in custody.
A bond jumper in court makes an outrageous leap for freedom. And a druggie on the run gets mowed down by his own truck. Then, a depressed man threatens to end it all until cops end the standoff by surprise. Next on Most Shocking, Criminals Out of Control.
Pontiac, Michigan. When an officer stopped to help what he thought was a stranded motorist, the driver took off. Now he's running like he has something to hide. A backup unit speeds ahead of the chase, creating a rolling roadblock. The suspect swerves, but can't pass the cruiser. Another unit moves in, and then a third. The driver looks for a gap, but finds a bumper instead. When the cop rams him again, the man makes a bizarre move, bailing out of his still moving truck and running right in front of it. His own pickup knocks him off his feet, saving him from being crushed between the 2 cars. Cops race in and quickly take Michael Schlender into custody. A pipe full of crack cocaine explains why he ran. But there's no explaining where he ran. Bangkok, Thailand. Police negotiate with a desperate man who's threatening to kill himself. He's already drawn blood, piercing his chest with a long, thin blade. Officers hope his mother can talk him down. But no matter how hard she pleads, he refuses to surrender. After a grueling hour-long standoff, cops attempt a risky ploy. They extend a peace offering, a cold bottle of water. It allows them to get just close enough for a quick strike. Hidden behind a pillar, one officer readies his baton, then goes for the blade. Police tackle the man, keeping a tight hold to make sure he doesn't do any more harm. He'll receive some much-needed medical and psychiatric attention, thanks to bold officers who were able to save him from himself. Nashville, Tennessee. Suspect Burt Watkins has finally returned to court on charges of drug possession and evading. He's expecting a slap on the wrist for missing an earlier court date. But Judge Mark Fishburne is done playing games.
He has a history of running. I mean, he's had escape charges and evading arrests. In fact, that was one of the charges he had.
Why didn't you go for your drug screen when I told you to go? I've been stressed. I've been depressed. I've been going through a whole lot of things.
The prosecutor's not buying this guy's act either.
I think Mr. Watkins is also on community corrections at a Division 4 drug court. So he's violating everything, bond, probation.
I think he's supposed to be in custody.
Apparently, Watkins didn't realize that drug-using bail jumpers get sent to prison.
About the time I mentioned custody is about the time he crawled over his attorney and tried to exit the back door.
The reckless move knocks his own counsel to the floor, even as guards are already within arm's reach.
There was nowhere for him to go. The stairwells are locked. You can run down the stairs, and the elevator takes you about a half a day to get here, so I don't know where he would have gone.
Watkins is handcuffed and escorted from the court. He'll later plead out for a sentence of 8 years.
Coming up.
He's running, Bono. He's running.
It's crooks versus canines.
Oh, they definitely got him.
In a Midnight Madness backyard brawl.
Yeah. Took his shirt off. Oh, man, yeah.
That's next on Most Shocking. Criminals Out of Control.
Rock Ledge, Florida.
I got something down in there in the woods right there.
A violent burglary suspect and his teenage accomplice hide in the dark beneath some trees. They're spotted on Deputy David Altman's infrared video.
They've been looking for this guy for a couple of days. They thought they had him within this neighborhood, but they had no idea where. That's why they called us to come down and see if we can shoot some infrared and see if we can locate him.
Stop, right there, right off your passenger door, right up in the woods, about 20 feet in.
Ground units move in on some woods near a subdivision. A canine flushes one individual out.
All right, they're running. Okay, guys, dog's in foot pursuit at this point.
The police dog gets hold of the fleeing suspect's arm.
And we got to take down at least one.
But the man still won't give up.
And we're still running.
The hound catches up again. And his handler seals the deal.
Okay, they got him.
One down. One to go.
During this time, though, I was a little bit concerned. I knew we had two people, and I was trying to get someone back to at least the original spot or trying to keep an eye on the other area where the guys originally came from.
Incredibly, the second suspect is still hiding in the same place. But when cops return, he bolts.
He's running, Mono. He's running towards Song's car now. Song's car now. There you go. Lights on him. Lights on him. Song, you're going to have to hurry up, double time it up here. This guy's hauling.
The guy was pretty quick. You see him go running across the street. See him go towards the privacy fence. You can actually see a little rabbit go running right by him.
Hop in the fence. He's between the houses, right? Between the houses. Okay, I think he's hiding in between these two houses, guys. No, he's hiding against the wall right here. Yeah, he's against the wall. He's against the wall. Come around that house. Come around that house. Patrol car, come. Hang your first right. Right there. Dog's right on him. Right on him. Right there. He's running. He's running again for the dog. Oh, the deputy got him.
He eludes the dog, then stumbles into a bruising collision with a deputy.
Oh, the deputy got him.
But he can't stop it. The chase continues.
The dog's getting his work out tonight.
The police dog rips off the fleeing suspect's clothes. He still won't give up.
This is awesome.
Finally, the suspect runs out of gas.
He just went in the back of the house.
He's trapped.
He went running to a screened-in porch of a house. And once he got behind there, the deputies were able to catch back up to him and were able to get him before he actually made entry into that house.
Good deal. Good deal. Good job.
The suspects thought they could hide in the dark. But thanks to infrared technology, deputies saw right through their escape attempts.
All right, they're running. They're running. They're running.
I'm very pleased. We had two guys went to jail, had no civilians that were hurt or injured in any type of way, and it went down pretty good.
He's running. He's running again for the dog. This is awesome.
They strike without warning, targeting any who stand in their way. Their goal isn't just a quick score. They want to dominate their victims, raining terror over